What a weekend it was, boys, across the entirety of Minnesota sports. We've got Viking schedule rumors continuing to flow out with the schedule release coming up this week. The Twins, are they back? An 8-game winning streak above 500. This is an impressive streak. Joe's not believing it because he is a Rocco Baldelli hater of the highest regard at this point.
No.
And then we've also got Wolves up 2-1. Game 4 of that series tonight, potential going up 3-1 in that one. We've also got some David Beckham, Minnesota United, Inter Miami kerfuffles coming after that game at the weekend. So we've got plenty to discuss. Let's jump into the Wolves stuff. We'll get to the Twin stuff because I know Joe's got plenty to say on that coming up based off his response. But let's jump into the Wolves. They go up 2-1, a resounding win at the weekend on Saturday, game 4 tonight, late tonight in Golden State. Will, I'll start with you. Your reaction to that win by the Wolves, what you saw, what your takeaways, and what your expectations are for tonight.
Yeah, you knew the Warriors were going to come out with a punch in Game 3 after kind of feeling things out with Steph Curry in a comfortable Game 2 win for Minnesota. And they did. Jimmy Butler played really well. Jonathan Kuminga had 30 points off the bench. And I think it has to be a little deflating for Golden State that they got, I think it was 63 points from those two guys, and they still couldn't get it done at home. They had a lead in the fourth quarter. The Wolves kind of kept plugging away. Anthony Edwards scores 28 of his 36 after halftime, has a huge poster over Kevon Looney, some big threes late in the game. Julius Randle, a second straight, really, really good game in this series. He flirted with a triple-double in Game 2. He actually got the triple-double in Game 3, the first by a Wolves player in the postseason since Kevin Garnett 21 years ago. So those two guys led the charge. Jaden McDaniels made some big shots as well. And the Wolves got it done in a close, kind of ugly game where they didn't play their best. They didn't get a whole lot from players other than those three. But now they have an opportunity to take a really commanding 3-1 series lead on Monday, come back here to Minneapolis, potentially close things out in 5 and not have to face Steph Curry unless by some miracle he's able to play in Game 5. The target date realistically seems like Game 6 because of the 3 days off between 5 and 6. So if the Wolves can close things out and not have to face Steph, that would be the ideal path. But they'll have to survive what's going to inevitably be another punch from Jimmy Butler, Kuminga. Maybe the Warriors eventually get a little more from Brandon Pajemski. Maybe Draymond Green doesn't foul out with 5 minutes to go in this one and has a little bit more of an impact. But yeah, the series is kind of playing out how I thought it would, and I think how most people thought it would when one of the best players of all time injures his hamstring in the first half of Game 1. The Wolves just have too much. We came on here and previewed the series. We thought they had too much for the Warriors with Steph Curry on the floor. Without Steph Curry, it just changes so much for Golden State. He is the epicenter of their offense and everything that they want to do. So the Wolves didn't play great in Game 3, but they found a way to get it done, and they've got to do that again in Game 4.
Tony, what were you doing 21 years ago when KG got the last playoff triple-double for the Timberwolves in the playoffs?
I do not have recollection of that because I was 3 years old. So, but my biggest takeaway from Game 3 was that was a Julius Randle Timberwolves legacy game. I think like Will mentioned, it was the first triple-double since KG, and it just in that game he just took over that game. I didn't know that he was going to have that in him when the playoffs rolled around. And he was the best player on the floor. I would not have guessed that was going to happen before the season, before this playoffs, before even the series. And those are the games you want from a guy that you just traded one of your franchise cornerstones for. And he was the reason they won that game. And all props to him. It was a great performance and something that I didn't know he had in him.
Joe, can the Wolves close it out over these next 2 games, get out of here with a 4-1 series win?
Yeah, they can, but I'm not going to lie. I'm a little more nervous today than I was yesterday just because Anthony Slater from The Athletic, who covers the Warriors, was reporting on Steph going through what he called a pretty strenuous workout, some medium speed shooting drills, hasn't done the cutting and stop-start stuff yet, but if he was doing that on Saturday night, just a few days after that injury, who knows? Maybe he's got like that Anthony Edwards Superman ability to overcome injury. I know he's had some injuries in the past, but this is the first time he's ever had anything with a hamstring. He even said he's never had tightness before. So nobody knows really what his response time is going to be like. And maybe it is Superman-like where he's able to get back on the court for game 5. That's why if I'm the Timberwolves, I'm looking at game 4 as a must win, because if you lose this game and you go back to Minneapolis tied 2-2, and then by some miracle, Steph Curry's back on the floor, I don't like that. I mean, the fact that the Warriors stomped the Timberwolves without Curry for the majority of game 1 and then gave Minnesota a lot of trouble in game 3 before the Wolves pulled away without Curry, that should be scary. You should be scared of that. And the Warriors have been elite on both ends of the floor ever since they traded for Jimmy Butler. If they get Steph back and he's hitting shots, I mean, my God, I know that he's not going to be 100%, but you should worry if you're a Timberwolves fan if this series is 2-2 and there's rumblings of Steph feeling better. He's got some Superman to him, and I would not discount him playing in game 5 Wednesday night just yet. And again, I'm not like an insider here saying anything. Everybody knows that. I'm just reacting as a fan saying this guy has basketball God to him. Don't discount him coming back for game number 5. He has not been ruled out yet. So got to win this game. If you win this game, it's 3-1. You know, yesterday I was talking to my neighbors who are big Wolves fans, and I'm like, I think the Wolves broke the Warriors. I think they broke their spirit. Now, you got to make sure that you know the knife is now in. You have to turn it. You got to pound in that final nail. This is kind of the opportunity for the fatal strike. They're down. They're wounded. You might have broken them. They won't have Steph Curry. Go get them Monday night, and then eliminate any anxiety that might come if Steph comes back in a tied series 2-2 Wednesday night. That's where my head's at right now.
Will, where's your concern level if Steph does return for game 5? If he does return early, what's your concern level for the Wolves pulling out this series in a short amount of time instead of having to go 6-7 games?
Yeah, I mean, it'll be very different depending on the result tonight. I agree with Joe that this can't be a situation where you say, oh, it was 1-1. Now we're going on the road. Let's take one of 2 there, and then let's come back for game 5 and get that one and feel good about it. Give ourselves 2 chances to close it out. I think you really have to, like Joe said, kind of twist the knife and take care of business again in this one as favorites and go up 3-1 because of the possibility of Steph Curry coming back to play in game 5, or even if he doesn't, a Warriors win either tonight or in game 5 extends it to 6, and then it seems a little more realistic for Steph to be able to play. And you just don't necessarily want to see him in a situation like that. And as one of the great playoff performers and greatest shooter of all time, I don't think that, it's some situation where, if Steph comes back at some point in this series, the Wolves are just screwed, because we all picked the Wolves coming in with a healthy Steph in this series. The Rockets took the Warriors to 7 with a healthy Steph. But with that said, the way that he is just so kind of gravitational on offense and gets his own scoring and shooting, but also opens things up for other players. Complement that to the Warriors defense, which I think we've learned through 3 games is really, really, really good. Is a different level than the Lakers defense that the Wolves saw in the first round. That becomes tricky. And I think the Wolves need to take care of business in this one. They can't have like what happened in the second quarter of game 3, where they didn't make a field goal in the final 6.5 minutes after a Julius Randle 3. And they were just stuck on 39 points forever, got 1 free throw in that span. They can't have those kind of droughts because the Warriors are going to play with some desperation here with their backs against the wall. The Wolves are going to need Julius Randle to keep doing what he's doing in terms of, flirting with a triple-double, being that point power forward, kicking it out to shooters, getting rebounds. He had a huge rebound that he skied for late in that game on Saturday. They need Anthony Edwards to ideally show up before halftime with the scoring and continue to do a lot of things he did in the second half. And then they need some more contributions from other guys. Nickeil Alexander-Walker and Dante DiVincenzo were quiet after big game 2s. Need a little more from Naz Reid, Rudy Gobert, Mike Conley, guys like that. And I think that they will ultimately get this one done in game 4. I just think that they have too much for the Warriors, who aren't probably going to get another 30 points from Jonathan Kuminga.
So let me ask you guys this. We'll go around the horn. Tony, Joe, Will. From what you've seen so far from the Wolves in their 8 playoff games so far that they've played, and how the rest of the Western Conference playoffs have played out as well. I mean, Thunder, Nuggets, 2 games apiece between those two sides. Are the Wolves set up better this year than they were last year for a deep playoff run? Maybe to get to the finals if you want to look at it like that. But are they set up better this year than they were last year for a deep playoff run? Tony, I'll start with you.
Yeah, I think they are. And watching the Nuggets Thunder series, I think the one thing that the Wolves have that at least the other teams in the West don't is that kind of killer mentality. It's something obviously the sports talk shows talk about all the time. But you watch the Thunder play and they're kind of just like moping around sometimes. And when their best player, Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, is very, I don't know, he's almost like a quiet killer in a sense, and then Anthony Edwards is very boisterous and in everyone's face all the time. And I think that's something that does matter when you get in these elimination playoff games and when you do need to twist the knife, like Joe mentioned. And that's why I think if they do keep advancing, I like their chances, I think, in the conference finals because they just seem like they're on a mission right now, and they really haven't even played a complete game in this series, and they're up 2-1. So I like their chances in the rest of this series and in the next one, to be completely honest. And I think it's just a mentality thing. And you kind of assume the personality of your best player when you're an NBA franchise like this. And I think everyone's kind of assumed the personality of Anthony Edwards, and it's shown so far.
I love that. That's a really good take, and I agree with it wholeheartedly. I don't think Denver's playing 6 guys. I mean, are you kidding me? They're going to run out of juice. It's not going to last. And if they have any kind of injury issue, they're absolutely dead in the water. Give them credit. They're giving Oklahoma City all they can handle, but I still don't think Denver's going to win that series. I think they let that slip yesterday when they blew that fourth quarter lead. So Oklahoma City is going to be a really tough matchup if it's Minnesota and the Thunder. They're big. They're good defensively. They can shoot it from all over the place. They've got slashers. They've got guards. I mean, they've got it all. They've put up 74 wins or whatever it is now over the course of the regular season and playoffs. It's just absurd. But I do like the Timberwolves matchup, and I still believe the Timberwolves, just on a timeline from a youthful team, the Thunder are the youngest team in the league. They've got to take their lumps. You've got to take your medicine. That's just a fact of life in professional sports. So I think they're still going to have to experience that. And I think we're seeing a sample of that in those struggles that they're having against Denver, who's, all world Nikola Jokic. But other than that, they're not that good. I mean, Minnesota's just whooped ass against Denver all season, going back to last year's playoffs. So something's up with the Thunder, and I think they're running out of juice. And I really believe Minnesota is in the driver's seat to go to the finals and represent the West if they get past Golden State. Last year, you had to go through Dallas, man, and that was a beast. Kyrie, one of the all-time great point guards. Luka, without the pressure, because Kyrie took it off of him. That's so dynamic and dangerous. And then the bigs they had last year made them really good around the rim. That was a perfect team to match up with Minnesota last year. And this year is definitely an easier path to the finals for Minnesota.
Yeah, Adam Silver is going to be, I think, a little frustrated when it ends up being a Timberwolves-Pacers NBA Finals this year. Maybe not the draw of, the Celtics and the Warriors or whoever it would be. But, it was a bummer that the Nuggets, with a fourth quarter lead in that absolute rock fight Game 4 yesterday. I wasn't watching, but I was following along, and then they couldn't get that one done. And that feels like one that they maybe needed to steal, because now you're going back to Oklahoma City, worn out. Thunder probably get that one, and then the Nuggets going to have to win 2 straight. I mean, you never know with the way that they have Nikola Jokic. They got playoff Jamal Murray. Aaron Gordon has been having just a heck of a postseason.
Just unreal shots from him.
Yeah. I mean, he's been unbelievable. But that'll probably be the Thunder. And I think the Wolves are going to advance out of this series. I mean, you look at the betting odds, they're like minus 900 to win this series. So this would be a pretty major choke if they're not able to do that, regardless of when Steph Curry may or may not come back. And if it is the Wolves and the Thunder, the Wolves, I think, will go into that series as underdogs justifiably with how many games that Oklahoma City has won this year. And that's going to be a scary opponent to face. They were just a juggernaut all year. SGA is really, really good, and he draws a lot of fouls. And Holmgren and Hartenstein is a pretty unbelievable front court. Jalen Williams is really good. They've got depth for days. But with that said, this postseason has kind of exposed some cracks. And I not to get into X's and O's and schematics and things like that. I just think that they have not been as dominant as the regular season record might suggest. They were down huge in game 3 against Memphis without John Morant. They rallied to come back and win that game because Memphis was playing like Scottie Pippen Jr. and Luke Kennard and guys like that. And then Oklahoma City's lost 2 games to Denver and couldn't score for almost all of game 4 and could be down 3-1 if not for a nice finish from them. So they are not some unbeatable, unstoppable juggernaut. I think that's been made pretty clear. The Wolves were 2-2 against them in the regular season, one which was a huge comeback. But I think that would be a 55-45 type of series in Oklahoma City's favor. And I think the Wolves would have every chance to do it if they get all of their cylinders firing at once. Anthony Edwards, Julius Randle playing like this. Get some good play from Rudy Gobert, get some shots from the other guys. Jaden McDaniels would be an X factor for sure with the amount of time he'd probably spend on SGA. So that I think that would be a heck of a series. We still got to get there. Still 2 more wins needed for each of those teams. But I think that would be a lot of fun. And I think the Wolves would have a better chance to win that series than they did last year against Luka and Kyrie and that Mavs roster that was really, really well set up to beat Minnesota.
I'll add this too quick. I heard this on the broadcast yesterday that Oklahoma City played 24 clutch time games in the regular season. That was the fewest in the NBA.
Wolves played the most, right?
Yeah, Minnesota played the most, man. They played the most. And OKC did not fare that well against playoff teams in the West during the course of the regular season, even though they had an insanely good record. So there's some big time weak spots there that the Wolves can take advantage of. The Minnesota Timberwolves are 4-0 in clutch time games in the playoffs. They've kind of reversed that jinx on themselves. They're showing up when it matters most. And OKC has not been in many of those situations that really do matter. They came through yesterday, so give them credit for that. But Minnesota's battle tested, and you have to go through the wars to really be prepared to win. It's like Michael Jordan always said, you gotta lose before you can learn how to win. So Oklahoma City, I think, is going through that right now. Minnesota has been through it already.
Yeah, looking forward to that. Game 4 tonight, 9 p.m. We'll have all your coverage over on Timberwolves on SI. Elsewhere across the Minnesota sports landscape, another busy weekend for Minnesota sports fans. The Twins rattle off their 8th straight win, a walk-off win over the Giants in the 10th inning to make it 8 in a row for the Twins. Joe, what is going on here that the Twins are all of a sudden red hot and good?
Well, I mean, the pitching's been really good. The bullpen's been lights out like it was supposed to be. And then Byron Buxton has been red hot. I mean, what else can you say? I mean, Buxton's kind of driving this charge right now. I think he's 8th in the majors in runs scored. He's top 12 or something in home runs. He's only 13, 14 RBIs off the MLB lead, Aaron Judge with 39 in RBI. He's got an OPS closing over 900 now, close to it. I mean, the guy's just red hot. He's 3rd in the league in triples. So, you're getting great defense. You're getting great offense, timely hitting. I mean, they're winning the games in the clutch since that Cleveland series. So it's all coming together. But again, they rattled off 12 games in a row last year. They were rolling, and then they all fell apart. And my fear with this team is that it's still the same guys who are incredibly streaky. I think Byron Buxton is just a new version, right-handed version, better defensive version of Eddie Rosario. And Eddie Rosario had a MVP caliber year in 2019, and then he disappeared, for like months at a time after that. So these guys are known to get extremely hot because they have all the talent in the world. It's just that they've never been able to produce it over long periods of time. So Buxton has to prove that this is not just his 25-game hot streak. It's got to be a 100-game hot streak. You have to stay hot. You have to be good all year long. You can have a slump that lasts for a week or two, but when you do it and you play this wave, it's gonna ebb and flow. And right now, it's flowing in the right direction. So I'm excited about it. They're a game over 500 for the first time this season. They're kind of roaring. They're dangerous. They've got all the pieces when they're all playing the right way, like we all said they are capable of. But show me over the course of months that this is who you are. It doesn't have, you don't have to win 100 games in a row, but win 60% of your games. Show up at that kind of clip. Come through in the clutch. Don't choke in late innings in the bullpen. And then you can, I know you don't care if you have my respect or belief, but I'll give it to you then. I mean, this team is just the same old thing. This is what you would expect if you're looking at this team from, 30,000 feet. You're like, oh yeah, these guys get hot. Here they are. Now, 2 weeks from now, they'll probably be losing 6 games in a row, and the wheels will be falling off and people will be bitching about, the poll ads and everything else again. So give it time. We'll get back to that negative space in the near future.
Will, I know you're the resident Byron Buxton defender in the Bring Me the Sports staff. So Byron Buxton, Eddie Rosario comparison, fair or not fair?
I don't know. I think Buxton's proven a little bit more over multiple seasons. I loved Eddie Rosario.
Wasn't Eddie Rosario the World Series MVP?
I don't know about that. He had some moments for that 21 Atlanta team. I was a big Eddie Rosario guy. I love an outfielder with some flair and a big arm, and but he's not quite the same level of player as Byron Buxton. Although I will admit that there's some streakiness to Buxton's game. But it's been more than just Buxton who's having a great season so far. It's just been this Twins team is looking a lot like what I thought we would see coming into the season. Really good starting rotation, led by Pablo Lopez and Joe Ryan and Bailey Ober, and even Chris Paddock had a great start on Friday and has been pretty good since his first couple. The bullpen has been lights out. I mean, I think this 8-game win streak, have they allowed a run? I don't know if they've allowed a run in this win streak. Danny Coulombe was a guy that they picked up for pretty cheap who's been unbelievable. Griffin Jackson, Joan Duran, we knew about them. Louis Varland's been really good. This is kind of what I expected to see from the pitching side. And then offensively, it hasn't just been Buxton. Correa's gotten going a little bit. Trevor Larnach. The 2 guys they brought in, Ty France, Harrison Bader, have been contributors. They even get, the most unlikely source, Deshaun Kiersey Jr. gets the walk-off yesterday. So it's been fun to see because the statistics and the precedent when they were 4-11 and then 7-15 were not good. There are very few teams in MLB history who have made the playoffs after that kind of start. But the wild card's expanded. There's 6 playoff teams in each league. They're right back in that mix now. They've got to continue it and sustain it moving forward. And this can't just be, oh, we're back over 500. We've arrived. And I don't think they will look at it that way by any means.
I think they will.
I certainly hope they don't look at it like that. But it's just been fun. It's fun to have the Twins be relevant again after it looked like this might be a long 90 loss, 100 loss kind of season, despite the talent always being there, but that shouldn't have ever been the case. I thought for a second that Rocco Baldelli might lose his job, but they're back to above 500. They're playing well. What impressed me most is they've been executing in close games. They just won those 3 games against a good Giants team this weekend by a combined 4 runs. They had a couple 1-run wins against the Red Sox that kicked off this streak. I think only one of the 8 games in the streak was won by more than 3 runs. So that was an issue for the Twins early in the season, losing a lot of close games. They bounced back from a couple heartbreaking losses in Cleveland, and they've just been playing really good baseball and well-rounded baseball. And this is kind of what I thought they were always going to be capable of. So now let's see, can they keep it going and maybe build a little bit of some distance between them and 500? That would be really nice to see.
Tony, 8-game winning streak. They're above 500 for the first time this season. Can the Twins keep this going? Can they stay above 500? Can they be a contender in that wild card race? I know it's still very, very early on in the season, but obviously these are all thoughts that I don't think many of us had when they were in the midst of that horrible start that they had.
Yeah, I think this should have been the expectations, or at least almost the floor for this roster. They're more talented than even being a 500 team. So I guess getting to this point is a big step, but now, like Joe and Will mentioned, they need to prove that they can keep doing it. We've seen these players do it before, and we've seen them fall apart before. So I'm not buying it until we see it for another month, until we see some sustained success here. I think they totally can do it, but they need to prove it, because it just, we've seen the same story enough before, and it just, I'm not buying it until we see some more proof.
So
Can I just say one thing real quick? Can the Twins call up my guy Carson McCrusher already?
Oh,
this
my
man
God, yes.
is 6'8", 250. He hits the piss out of baseball. It's like 115 miles per hour. He's like the best hitter in the minors this year, one of the 3 or 4 best hitters. He's basically the AAA, the CHS Field Aaron Judge.
That's right.
Give the guy a chance. I don't care who you have to move off the 40-man roster to make. I want to see this man at Target Field, even if he strikes out a bunch and there's some early lumps because he's never played in the big leagues before and the pitchers are better there. I want to see this guy launch a ball over the batter's eye in the Delta Club at Target Field, or hit one into the third deck and left. I want to see this guy play.
I don't know how you don't call him up. I mean, he's at AAA. The guy is literally getting Aaron Judge comp. So I see people on Twitter over the weekend. They're like, "Wait, we have an Aaron Judge?" And I'm like, "No,
Yeah.
man, we do. We got an Aaron Judge. The guy, you said it, hitting the piss out of the baseball, 115, 114, 113 miles per hour off the bat. And he's coming through in the clutch. It's not just all homers. His strikeout rate's like 31%, Byron Buxton would love a strikeout rate of 31%. He fits right into this lineup. You mean Deshaun Kersey?
He's like righty Matt Wallner in a lot of ways.
Yeah, but yeah, maybe he is. That's a good comp, perhaps, if Wallner ever comes back. But I mean, I don't know. I mean, if you got Cody Clemens and Deshaun Kersey got his first walk-off, I mean, that could be his last major league hit. He should go happy now. Let him go back to the minors. Go do his thing in St. Paul. He served his purpose. Now come on up, Carson McCrusher, and let's hit some balls.
That's a great nickname too.
It is a great
fantastic
nickname. Yeah, it's so stupid they haven't called him up yet. So stupid. He at least 50 people would buy tickets to a Twins game to see him. That's life-changing money for the Polettes.
Would certainly help the sell-on value of the club. As someone who doesn't follow the minor leagues and the prospects as closely as maybe you guys do, where the hell did this guy come from? All of a sudden, we're hearing about this guy. We've heard so much about Walker Jenkins and all these other guys, Emmanuel Rodriguez. But this guy, I feel like, as someone who kind of pays attention on the periphery, but not like a deep dive into it all the time, feels like this guy came out of nowhere.
He did. He's not considered a prospect. If you look up the Twins' top 30 prospects on MLB.com, he's not in there. He's 27 years old, I think. He played at Oklahoma State. He went undrafted. He wasn't a power hitter at Oklahoma State, despite being built like Aaron Judge. He went and played for the Tri-City Valley Cats in the Albany area in New York, an independent team like the Saints used to be before they were affiliated with the Twins. And then finally something kind of flipped for him, I think, in 2023, and he had a red-hot start to the year. Twins signed him to a minor league deal, and he's just kind of been raking in the minors ever since. So not a traditional prospect in that, like, he's a 22-year-old high draft pick or moving up through the system or anything. He is just absolutely crushing in AAA and kind of came out of nowhere. But, the players take all different paths to the big leagues, and I think it should only be a matter of time before he gets an opportunity. But I think they should do it now, because Matt Wallner's still out for a little bit longer, and maybe when Wallner's back, the picture in the corner outfield spots becomes a little tougher with the way Trevor Larnach's swinging it. So I don't know what they're waiting for, frankly, even with some concerns maybe about strikeouts or whatever. I think this should happen today, but we'll see.
Yeah.
Tony, if he gets called up, are you going to the Twins store and buying a McCrusher shirt? Because that should absolutely be a shirt that the Twins start making.
Yeah, I was hanging out with my 80-year-old grandpa this week and all his friends, and that's what they kept asking me when they were going to call him up. So if they're saying that, then I think we need to bring him up.
Is that a real story, or are you being sarcastic?
No, 100% honest. They're all big baseball fans, and they think that was the biggest story in Minnesota sports.
Okay, I like it.
Honestly, nobody cares about anything else. It's like Royce Lewis. He finally got a hit. Nobody cares. Nobody cares. They want something exciting. And yes, I will stop and watch Buxton if he's at the plate when he's hot. There's no other reason to watch this team right now. I mean, come on. Yeah, you want to watch the final inning to see if the win streak extends, but that's it. But if you bring up McCrusher, things change. And
Tune in for every single one of his at-bats. Yeah.
I'm locked in for 4 at-bats. I'm on ESPN or MLB.com following the game line to see when he's coming up. And if he's due up the next inning, I'm going to flip it over.
I do disagree with that take as a Twins sicko, but I understand, like, yeah, that there's some appeal to the casual fan there when you bring up this mountain of a man who can just hit it harder than almost anybody.
Yes. 6'8" at the plate. That's got to be intimidating for a pitcher to see a guy who stands almost as tall as you when you're on the mound. Just ridiculous. All right.
He's bigger than Miguel Sano. Like this, he's huge.
You know, Miguel Sano hit a bomb in his. He started like 8 for 18 back in 2017, and was just killing baseballs. And then he, I don't know what happened. He stepped on something in the Dominican Republic and was never the same.
He just turned like 32 the other day. That's why I was thinking of Miguel Sano.
Yeah.
Anyways.
Good time.
Right, anyways, elsewhere across Minnesota sports, we're starting to see Vikings schedule rumors trickle out. We heard early on a couple weeks ago, Alec Lewis saying on his podcast that he's from conversations he's had, it looks like a NFC North rival, maybe week 1. We've heard plenty of reports that back-to-back international games may be happening. It looks like that may be week 4 against the Steelers in Dublin, week 5 against the Browns in London. So, Will, resident Vikings expert, what do you think about these rumors and how they kind of start off the season for the Vikings?
Yeah, I think I saw the rumor that is the Lions maybe week 1. Yeah. Whether it's
do we trust that one? That was from
not
EPP Twitter.
Yeah, that should just completely be treated as a rumor. But I think the possibility of any NFC North rival in week 1 would just be kind of a fun way to really throw JJ McCarthy to the Wolves and see what he's got right away. And I think that would be quite the test. And maybe the Vikings. I mean, fun.
Plenty of storylines.
Plenty of storylines. A good test, right? I think the Vikings might prefer to see, like, I don't even know off the top of my head who the bad teams on their schedule are, but maybe the Bears. Somebody like that.
The Seahawks in season or week 1.
That's going to be quite the game too. With the
that's a good one. That could happen. I could see that.
That'd be a great week 1.
A little prime time against Darnold.
The rumor that seems more substantiated is the back-to-back international games in Dublin and London weeks 4 and 5, and I actually think that is kind of cool for the Vikings. I think that kind of works out well, and I mean, I think you might see that and be like, "What? How can the NFL make them do that back-to-back games away?" Like. I actually think works out well because they're not losing a home game in either one. They would be the road team both times. So you're instead of playing in hostile environments in Pittsburgh and Cleveland, which I mean, there's lots of Vikings fans everywhere the Vikings play, but there will be more internationally because they have a good international fan base, especially in the UK and in Ireland. I think they'll show up, and so. I mean, the people it sucks for would be if you're a Vikings fan, like in the Pittsburgh or Cleveland area, and you were excited to go to that game. But I think that works out well. And then for the second one, you're staying over, so you're going to already have your body set to that clock.
It's an hour and a half flight from Dublin to London is an hour and 25 minutes. So it's almost like a benefit. It's like a bonus if you get back-to-back road games that are only 90-minute flight apart. You don't have to travel back home. There's no back and forth. It's 1 airplane ride, not 4, I mean, and then you probably got a bye coming in week 6 after you return home. I mean, that's probably how it would work out. That seems pretty favorable to me.
Yeah, we've got the Vikings, the Vikings schedule rumor tracker going up on Vikings on SA. Go check that out. Tony, do you like back-to-back international games, no matter where they happen in the season? Do you like this idea of back-to-back international games for the Vikings?
Yeah, like Will and Joe mentioned, it might not be that big of a deal, and it might honestly benefit the Vikings. It sounds like something I'll probably forget about, and then when September, October rolls around, I'll complain about it. So, but yeah, I don't know. It's fun. Always expanding the game of football overseas. I think it could help them because I don't think there even is a time change difference between Dublin and London. I'm not 100% sure, but it could benefit them, and it's always fun watching those games kick off if they're early in the morning.
Where does the schedule?
And then you get to watch all the other games the rest of the day.
Yeah,
full day, 12 hours.
You have kids and a wife.
True.
It's true. You don't get to watch it.
No,
They want to go for walks. They want to go
cannot
to the
relate to that.
park. There's all kinds of stuff they want to do. It's actually absurd.
Where does the schedule release rank for you guys on the spring sports calendar? Well,
I mean,
as low as it can be.
Yeah, exactly.
the NFL
interesting-
certainly tried to make it as high as it could be.
Yeah.
It's interesting for me just to like kind of see when certain games are happening and when the bye week is and which games I might try to travel to and things like that. But yeah, the NFL hypes it up so much more than is necessary. Like they make announcements about announcements. Like at the draft, the big announcement was when the schedule will be announced. And then they hint at like, oh, and these international games are going to be announced on this day. And it's like, all right, I think you could just tell us. And they have like a 4-hour show on NFL Network. It's kind of absurd in my opinion.
You have to be a real sicko to watch all 4 hours.
It is something on the NFL calendar in May, and then after that, you know, it goes pretty dead in the as far as NFL standards until like training camps begin.
Yeah, for sure.
You know why they do this?
Why?
Do you know why? It's
Why?
a distraction from what's really happening. When these elites like Roger Goodell are planning to get into the underground bunkers, like in the show Paradise. You know, the Himalayas
Hold
are
on,
one of the
hold
most
on.
fascinating
Before
places
you-
to put those bunkers. The bunkers are safe from floods. They're higher up. They're elevated. I mean, it's just kind of perfect, you know.
Before you go further into the bunker stuff, Will, have you seen the full series? Have you seen the full show?
Yes,
So we're not
I
spoiling
watched.
it. Okay.
I watched the full season. It was quite entertaining.
yes.
Okay. Now spoil away, Joe.
Yeah, and as we know, Hollywood has to tell us, you know, what's going to happen. So, you know, 15 years from now, you know, when that old sun starts beating through that weakened magnetic field and all of our power's out, get your solar panels, baby. Get your solar panels. It's not going to be good.
I don't know how to smoothly transition that into David Beckham being angry about a team's social media post, but
Well, he's
David
elite.
Beckham's
He'll be in
another
the
elite
bunker.
too. He's
Yeah,
going
that's
to be
true.
in the bunker for
Yeah.
sure.
he lives in Miami. It's going to be underwater in like 5 years.
No, it's not. The coastline hasn't changed. It's a hoax.
Oh, man. Oh, here come
I
the
have a
downvotes on this
theory.
video.
Quick theory. I tweeted about this. Contrails, the chemtrails
Jeez.
from the airplanes. I don't believe they're trying to kill us all with their little cloud seeding and stuff and control the weather. I believe they're trying to protect us all. They're trying to put a filter over the globe so the sun doesn't harm us as rapidly as it will otherwise. It's actually
it's
they're
just
trying
a
to save
plane
us.
traveling through the air.
There you go. Okay, continue.
Sorry, you're bringing up.
I own this company. I can say whatever I want.
You're triggering me after having to deal with family who believe in chemtrails. So loving this part of the conversation. Let's jump on to the last topic across Minnesota sports. It was kind of one of the bigger events that we've seen, and a little bit self-serving for me because I don't get to talk about Minnesota United often or ever on this program. But Minnesota United hosting Lionel Messi and Inter Miami, a big 4-1 win. But the main storyline coming out of it, outside of the Loons just absolutely hammering Inter Miami, was David Beckham getting upset on social media, tweeting back and chirping back at Minnesota United's social team, who posted Pink Phony Club after the Loons beat Inter Miami. Obviously an owner shouldn't be doing this. One of the Apple TV commentators on the weekend said that's below David Beckham to be doing this. But Will, have you ever seen an owner react to something like this, to like a social media post or anything of the similar? Because David Beckham saying, have some respect, win with class, or whatever he said after that post, which is obviously just a play on the fact that Miami wear pink and the Chapel Rowan song Pink Pony Club. Like,
Great song, by the way.
Yes, it is.
Great song.
I think it's a little soft. I think it might be some like cultural differences between like European sport culture and American sports, and how we like to talk a little trash and things of that nature that maybe is considered uncouth across the pond.
What a word.
But
that's a great word.
I think if you're going to be owning an American sporting franchise, I think you should adapt to a little bit of that fun banter. And I don't think there was anything wrong with the Loons post. And so I think, Mr. Beckham, you're soft.
Well, that's why soccer players are so soft. It's like, yeah, they're in great condition, but
I wasn't going to go there.
Flopping all over the field, acting like they were literally hit by a grenade when somebody like taps into them. It's so pathetic. And then Pink Phony Club is brilliant. And if you think that's disrespect, come on, man, up your game. Up your game. You don't belong in the bunker.
You should hear a
Really
conversation
criticizing
between Draymond Green and Dylan Brooks. If you think that was disrespectful,
he would die if he had to deal with that. He would cry. David
Really
Beckham
criticizing
was
soccer
therapy.
players for flopping when it's now the go-to mantra and the go-to tactic for the Dallas Stars in the playoffs. Supposedly one of the more physical sports in the world, and they resort to flopping as well.
And like half of the best players in the NBA too.
Yeah, absolutely.
Right.
Can I just say that when I was like 5 years old, the Minnesota Thunder played the LA Galaxy, and I got to be one of the kids holding the hands.
Nice.
And I was right. I wasn't holding Landon Donovan or David Beckham's hand, but they were both right there, and that was pretty cool. I knew at the time that was cool.
Was he crying?
Beckham's still upset he had to play on the AstroTurf of the Metrodome.
They were not.
You know who else is? Rob Moore, former Arizona Cardinals wide receiver who wrecked his ACL on that crappy turf. God, he was good too.
I think that's where we'll end it.
That is
a great spot to end the show.
It happened. It's true.
I believe it.
That's a great spot to end the show. We'll appreciate you guys watching, sitting through all 42 minutes of this. Go read all of our work over at Vikings, Twins, Timberwolves, Gophers on SI, covering everything that happens across the Minnesota sports spectrum. As we said, got the Vikings schedule release rumor tracker going. We'll have your coverage of maybe the Twins pulling off a 9th straight win tomorrow night against Baltimore. The Timberwolves in action tonight in game 4 of that series. Looking forward to that one. Wolves in 5 still possible. Looking forward to it.
Steph Curry's broke. Draymond's woke. Warriors gonna choke. Wolves in 5.
Wolves in 5. Subscribe to the channel. Let's get on. Bye.